Alright everyone, well, I already talked about Marvel's version of Captain Marvel, which is kind of a stepping stone Avengers movie. Not the best, but I don't think the worst either, so it's anybody's opinion right there, and most fans were pretty negative about it, despite critical reception being mostly positive, and making a godly amount of money at the box office, despite the whole feminism crap and political nonsense. But hey, compared to Ghostbusters 2016, it did a lot better financially, so give it credit for that. Otherwise, let's move on, crossing into DC Universe. Ooh, I might as well suit up, shall we? Alright, now that's more like it. Anyway, let's get to DC's version of Captain Marvel, also known mostly as... Again, Shazam. I guess they wanted to avoid the confusion with it. You know, kind of like how Avatar, directed by James Cameron, came out a year before Avatar, based off the TV show Avatar The Last Airbender, came out in 2010, the following year, because, yeah, it would. Not that we want to compare those two, because one is great, despite, you know, being a bit overrated with the heavy amounts of CG, and the other film was just a straight-up pile of crap directed by M. Night Shyamalan. So, yeah, let's not get too carried away here. Anyway, I was a bit skeptical on this one. We know that DC comic movies have not had the best history, and occasionally, yeah, of course we had the Dark Knight trilogy, we had the first two Superman movies with Christopher Reeves, we had, of course, the first two Batman movies directed by Tim Burton and so forth. Man of Steel I thought was pretty good, even though it was kind of a mixed bag, as well as Wonder Woman and Aquaman. So it definitely showed that DC comic movies have improved. And this one, wow, it was fantastic. I mean, yes, we knew it was going to be kind of a self-aware made type movie, and I was thinking this is going to be like what they do for DC, like Deadpool did for Marvel, self-aware. But it is, but isn't really. And, well, okay, in case you don't know the plot about the film, Shazam himself, well, the backstory, it starts out, which is pretty interesting. It gives more than enough character development on both the main hero and villain himself, which is good. I mean, the acting performances are great, especially out of the younger version of the villain, and his parents, and the kid who becomes Shazam. So yeah, I'll try to keep that a major spoiler territory here, but minor spoilers for the most part, so just be aware of that, in case I can't help myself. But yeah, basically the main kid that becomes Shazam is a fosterized kid who's trying to track down his mother, so it does make a pretty interesting plot and everything. It makes the story a little complex and interesting, and he gets placed into foster care, and after leaving so many foster homes, and basically he wants to defend his foster family. So, of course, the whole thing with Shazam is pretty interesting for the most part. You know, many people are offered that role to take it and defend against these demons, while the main villain, of course, takes the power and is obsessed with it, because he's a doctor of some sort, or some kind of evil scientist, and, well, he uses it, so they have to summon a real hero to try to fight him. And that's where it gets really good. The pacing of this film I thought was great. A little slow at the beginning with some of the development, but I think it did great once you see Shazam in full action. It's silly, there's a lot of funny moments, and it just has that real good feel to it. Like, you can just enjoy it for the most part. I mean, I love how when he first becomes Shazam, and like, it almost kind of reminds me a little bit of Big, you know, that movie starring Tom Hanks from 1988, the fact that he's a grown-up, like, right away, except the fact that he can go back to being a kid and switch back and forth anytime he wants just by saying the word Shazam. Yeah, so that's a bit of a spoiler there. But otherwise, yeah, it's really interesting. I love how the, you know, as the superhero, he can take, you know, and his foster brother is, like, taking advantage of the superpowers, and he's, like, all excited, and it's just so much fun to watch, and I enjoyed the living hell out of this. It's just, you get so many good laughs out of it. Like, he's filming him with his phone, and like, yeah, I gotta film and make sure this is not, you know, I gotta put this online. It's like anything anybody would do nowadays. Like when he's in the store, like, you got bulletproof power, you know, you can make lightning with your bare hands, like, can you fly? And it's like, no, and then he's like, oh, I can fly, wow. But, of course, like anything else, you know, with great power becomes great responsibility, and of course he's gonna, you know, become a bit of a show-off. Like, he's, you know, and his foster brother's like, you know, I want you at school to show up to these bullies, and, he doesn't show up, and he's out there being a big shot and everything like that. And the music that's played by Queen is just so perfectly fitting because it just fits that mood so well. And the fight scenes, especially between him and the main villain himself, played by Mark Strong, who's actually pretty good at the villain roles. I mean, of course he was in the reboot from 2010 of Robin Hood, which was not the best, but he was also the main villain in Kick-Ass, the first one to be exact, which was really a fun time. It almost has that similar vibes to it, except it's not R-rated, obviously. But, and in case you're wondering, yes, it does exist in the DC universe, you know, the Justice League universe. It has some references and stuff in there, like the bullet that was fired at Superman, the kid has, and of course, the replica Batarang. So, yeah, overall, it may be a little bit long. It goes over 2 hours, but I didn't find one moment in this movie boring at all. There's just so much action. There's so much fun. It's a good old comic book movie, like the old days, like that you can enjoy for what it is. It may not be the most original, but trust me when I say it's great. It's got so much humor, and it knows what it is. It's self-aware at some moments. There's so many funny parts that are great. I love how, like, when he's in the air and fighting the villain, and he's like yelling at him and intimidating him, and he's like, I can't hear you. I can't hear what you're saying. It's just, that was so brilliant. So, and the ending might be a bit of a surprise too as well, but I wouldn't dare give that away as well. But overall, great fun time. It definitely shows that DC Comics still has it and is vastly improved over the last couple of years despite a spotty history. And yes, there's a scene not only during the middle of the credits, but also at the, well, after the credits too as well. The one during the middle, I say, is the key moment. But the one after the credits, it's okay. I would skip it. Trust me, it's not worth sitting through. And even the end credits design themselves as soon as they start are really cool. It almost kind of reminds me of Spider-Man Homecoming. It's like an old-fashioned comic book, and it's great. So, overall, DC Comics has definitely done it again, and it was especially cool seeing this movie after meeting the main actor himself, Zach Levy, at Comic-Con last year in New York City. And so, yeah, that right there made it all worth the while right there. So, I'd say DC Comics has definitely got themselves a winner, especially after Aquaman. Keep it up, DC, because, well, you're almost becoming as good as Marvel right there. So, anyway, my final verdict is a Rockin' Lear vote V-Motion Plus up and a Plain Weir mode up. Trust me, it's well worth it. So, till next time, keep watching. Shazam!